Hello everyone, welcome to our beginning of our last week with classes for this semester. Today we're looking at week 19, and like I said, it's our last week. Woohoo, you're almost there. We are at day one. So if we take a look at our schedule here for this week, um, you can see that today is technically a Monday, and I will be sending this out shortly, so you will have it on Monday, which is no live lessons. However, because Tuesday and Wednesday are really your last unit for this lesson for this unit, I wanted to give you the most time possible to get caught up. So I wanted to send it out right away at the beginning of the week instead of waiting until Wednesday to finish it. That way it really gives you the best time to completing all these assignments. On Thursday, we will spend time still in class reviewing for that final test, but technically once you watch this video you should have all the content that you need in order to successfully take that test. So it would be up to you if you'd like to take that test early or if you'd like to wait till Thursday. Office hours will still be normal this week. I will have them on Wednesday morning at 9:30 to 10:30, Thursday from 2 to 3, and then if you need any extra help or we just really need to push you through, we can talk about meeting on Friday as well. Please note that your assignments are due by 5 p.m. on Friday unless you have an extension that changes that date for you, and I will have already contacted you in regards to that extension. So like I said, today we're going to be talking about our last unit, which we really looked at last week when we talked about multiplying a binomial by a monomial, and I mentioned that FOIL method, but today we're really going to look at it a little bit deeper. So the FOIL method has to do with the letters FOIL itself. So the F stands for first, the O is outer, the I is inner, and the L is last. And you can see that here, first, outer, inner, last. And it's just a way to multiply in a specific order so you don't lose track of what you've multiplied and what you haven't multiplied yet. So as you can see in this example, what I have is A plus B times C plus D. So the first thing you want to do is you want to multiply that A times that C because those are the first sets that are in parentheses. Those are the first letters in the parentheses. They come first. Then you can move forward and you can say, I want to go and I do my outers because that's the O. So I do the ones that are on the outside. So now I multiply the A by the D. Then you're going to do the ones that are on the inside next. So that would be B times C. And then the ones that are the last in the parentheses would be B times D. That looks kind of messy, and when we go through an example point blank, you will see it's not so bad. On the bottom here, you can see that I also put that square that we talked about last week. And that square really helps some people, that little matrix. It shows you what you're being multiplied. So the first thing that they're looking at is those first. So they did x times x to get x squared. Then they did the outside, so they did x times negative 6 to get negative 6x. Then they did the inside, 6 times x to get 6x, and then those lasts, the 6 times the negative 6 to get negative 36. So again, you're still using that same procedure, you're just representing it a little bit different. Instead of having all these arrows and lines like I have, they did it step by step by step by step, or within the box itself. So there's kind of different ways that you can set it up as long as you're still using that same order. The last example here on the top, again, it's using that same order, except for now you can see how they're going. So they do the first one, so they did x times x, and that's in that maroon, and that got you x squared. And then they did the outer, so that's the green, so the first times the, or the x times the 1, that would be 1 times 1x, or just x. Then the inside would be the two that are closest to each other, and that would be 2 times x, that's 2x, and 2 times 1, the last one's is 2. Once you're finished, you'd need to combine your like terms, so you'd actually get x squared plus 3x plus 2 for your final answer. And every time we FOIL binomials, you'll always end up with 3 terms at the end because these two middle terms will always be like terms. They will either cancel out, so you are left with nothing, like here, 6x and negative 6x, 6x and negative 6x cancel out to get 0x, so this one would be x squared minus 36. Don't know why that keeps happening. And you can see that now that only has 2, but they will always combine in some way. Okay, so let's look at some examples where we're actually doing it step by step together. So they have the FOIL written out for you. So I'm just going to multiply my firsts. So the F stands for first, so I'm going to do the first set in the parentheses. So I do x times x, and I get x squared. Then I go and I do my outsides. So that would be the outside of the parentheses. So that's x times 5, and I get 5x. Then I'm going to do my insides. So that's the two that are closest to each other. So I get 3 times x, I get 3x. And I do the last ones in the parentheses, so I get 3 times 5 is 15. Again, you can see that these two will combine. So I get x squared plus 8x plus 15 for my final answer. And that looks a little messy. I don't know what's going on there. There we go. And that 5x plus 3x is saying that we have 8x altogether. If we look at another example, now we're changing our binomials, and it's representing something a little bit more complicated because we have this 7x squared. Otherwise, the procedure is exactly the same. So we have 7x times 7x squared. Those are our first. So we get 49x to the 4th. Then we're going to go and we're going to do our outside. So I get 7x squared times 3, and I get 21x squared. Then I'm going to go and I'm going to do my insides, and I get 3 times 7x squared, which again is 21x squared. And then the last one is the outsides, and we get 3 times 3 to get 9. Again, we combine, these are like terms, so I get 49x to the 4th, that will not change. And then I get 42x squared plus 9. And again, it still has that same 3 terms. There's still 3 terms here. But you can see that our variable has a different exponent because we started with greater exponents at the top. So it's just changing that a little bit. All right, let's do one more example here, and then we'll go through some reminders. Again, this is a pretty short lesson. Like I said, we did it last week as well. But I wanted you to be able to see it a little bit more in depthly here. So we're going to do our F. That means we're going to do what comes first in our parentheses. So I have 2x times 3x, and I get 6x squared. Then we're going to do our outsides. So I'm going to take the 2 that are on the very outside of my parentheses, and I get 2x minus 4 times, 2x times a negative 4, so I get negative 8x. Now we move on, and we are doing our insides. So I do 5 times 3x, and I get 15x. And the last but not least, I do my last one. So I do 5 times negative 4, and I get negative 20. Depending on how your original binomial is set up, you will end up with different degrees of terms. You can see that this first one has a squared. These next two are just ones, and the last one does not have a variable at all. And that is a pretty common standard way to see it when you're given just a variable without an exponent. You'd see a 2, a 1, and a nothing. All right, so then we need to combine our like terms. So I have negative 8 plus 15, so I get 6x squared plus 7x minus 20, and that would be our final answer. All right, so let's look at some reminders here. We do not have Class Connect tomorrow, and that was, again, because I did that video today so that you have some extra time working. So please make sure you do spend that time working. Your assignments need to be due this Friday, all by 5 p.m. You need at least a 60% in order to pass. And once you hit that 60% and you still have opportunity, you're more than welcome to keep going to earn a better grade. But make sure you hit that 60% mark in order to pass the class. I want you all to pass. Some of you are so close. You're at like a 57%. Put a little bit of effort in, turn in 3 or 4 assignments this week, and you'll be good to go. Again, the more you turn in, the better grade you are going to get. The zeros are in. I have put in and submitted all of the zeros for the entire semester now. So this is the lowest, what you see right now is the lowest grade that you are going to get. That means you only can move upwards from here. So keep going. If you have questions, you can come to office hours on Wednesday morning from 9:30 to 10:30, Thursday afternoon from 2 to 3. Otherwise, you can always send me a K-mail or call me. Other than that, have a fantastic day. Enjoy some time off, but still make sure you're working hard. And I will see you all for sure on Thursday's class. Have a great week. Keep working. Contact me if you have any questions.